There are churches all around the world that look completely normal. They sound Christian, they talk about God. But the truth is, some of them are quietly leading people into spiritual deception. And the most dangerous part? Many sincere believers don't even realize it. In today's video, we're going to uncover 5 dangerous signs of bad churches that you need to watch out for. And by the end, you'll clearly know how to recognize when something isn't right. Before we begin, comment below and tell me which country you're watching from backhand index pointing down. It's always amazing to see how far this message reaches. Point 1. Scripture manipulation. The first and most subtle warning sign. Misusing the Bible. At first, it doesn't look wrong. In fact, it sounds spiritual, even convincing. Verses are quoted with confidence. Messages seem powerful, and everything feels right on the surface. But if you look closely, you'll notice something important is missing: context. Some churches take small portions of Scripture and present them in a way that completely changes their original meaning. They highlight certain lines, but ignore everything around them. They focus on what supports their message, while quietly leaving out what might challenge it. Over time, this creates a distorted version of truth. Instead of guiding you toward understanding, these teachings begin to shape your thinking in a controlled way. You may start to feel like every decision you make needs to be approved. Your relationships may be influenced. Your choices may be questioned. And slowly, without even realizing it, your personal freedom starts to shrink. What makes this even more dangerous is how it's presented as God's will. So when you feel uncomfortable or something doesn't sit right in your spirit, you hesitate to question it because you're made to believe that questioning the teaching is the same as questioning God. And if you do speak up, the response is often the same. You lack faith. You're being rebellious. Don't let doubt take over. These phrases are powerful, not because they are true, but because they silence people. They make you second-guess yourself. But here's the truth. Real faith is not afraid of questions. Genuine teaching invites understanding. It encourages you to learn, to explore, and to grow in clarity. Because truth doesn't need to hide, and it definitely doesn't need to be manipulated. Clapperboard. Point 2. Fear-based control. The second warning sign. Using fear to control people. This is where things become even more serious. Instead of inspiring you, instead of building your confidence and peace, the message begins to create pressure. You may start hearing statements like, "If you don't follow this exactly, God will be angry. If you step outside this path, something bad will happen. If you question this, you're putting yourself in danger." At first, it might sound like strong guidance, but over time, it creates a constant sense of fear. You begin to feel like every small mistake could lead to punishment. Every decision feels risky. Every doubt feels dangerous. Instead of feeling closer to God, you feel more anxious, more unsure. And slowly, fear becomes the main force, driving your actions. But fear-based control does something very harmful. It keeps you dependent. It makes you feel like you can't trust your own understanding, like you always need someone else to tell you what's right. And because of that fear, you stop questioning. You stop exploring. You stop growing. But real faith was never meant to trap you like that. True spiritual guidance brings peace. Even when it challenges you, it brings clarity. Even when things are difficult to understand, it gives you confidence, not confusion. Because a healthy relationship with God is not built on fear. It's built on trust, understanding, and a sense of inner peace. Clapperboard. Point 3. Money becomes the focus. The third warning sign. When money becomes more important than the message. At first, it may not be obvious. The sermons still sound spiritual. The words still mention faith. But slowly, you begin to notice a pattern. No matter what the topic is, no matter what the message starts with, it somehow always circles back to giving. Week after week, the focus shifts away from growth, understanding, and transformation, and moves toward one thing: your money. You may start hearing phrases like, "The more you give, the more you'll receive." Your blessing is connected to your offering. If you're not seeing results, you need to give more. And without realizing it, a connection is created in your mind that your spiritual value is tied to how much you give, that your faith is measured by your financial contribution, and that if you're struggling, somehow, it's your fault for not giving enough. This creates a heavy burden. Instead of giving becoming something joyful, it becomes something stressful. Instead of coming from the heart, it comes from pressure, fear, or even guilt. You may feel uncomfortable saying no. You may feel judged if you give less. And over time, giving stops being an act of faith and starts feeling like an obligation. Meanwhile, the message of hope, truth, and transformation gets pushed into the background. Because when money becomes the focus, the purpose is no longer spiritual growth. It becomes control. But here's the truth. Faith cannot be measured by money. Real giving is never forced. It's never demanded. And it's never used as a tool to pressure people. True generosity comes from a willing heart, not from manipulation. Because the moment giving is controlled by pressure, it loses its true meaning. Clapperboard. Point 4. Isolation from others. The fourth dangerous sign. Isolation. This is one of the most powerful ways control is maintained, and it usually doesn't happen all at once. It starts slowly, with small suggestions, subtle warnings. You may begin to hear things like, be careful who you listen to. Not everyone outside understands the truth. We are the ones who are truly right. At first, it may sound like protection, like guidance meant to keep you safe. But over time, those words begin to build a wall between you and the outside world. You may start distancing yourself from people you once trusted, friends, family members, even other believers, not because they've changed, but because you've been made to see them differently. You begin to feel like anyone outside your group is somehow wrong, confused, or even dangerous. And slowly, your world becomes smaller. Your circle becomes limited. Your perspective becomes narrow. And without realizing it, you become more dependent on that one environment, because now it feels like the only place where you truly belong. But this kind of isolation is not healthy. It doesn't strengthen your faith. It weakens your ability to think freely. It disconnects you from different perspectives, from healthy relationships, from balance. Because true faith does not require you to cut people off. It doesn't demand separation from everyone else. Instead, it helps you grow stronger while still staying connected. It gives you wisdom, not fear of others. Because real spiritual growth expands your understanding. It doesn't shrink your world. Clapperboard. Point 5. No accountability. And the final warning sign. Leaders who cannot be questioned. This is one of the clearest indicators that something is not right. In a healthy environment, leaders guide, support, and teach. But they also remain open. They understand that they are human, that they can make mistakes, and that accountability is part of true leaders. But in unhealthy situations, that openness disappears. The leader is always right. No matter what happens, no matter what is said or done, they are never questioned. And if someone does raise a concern, it's not welcomed. Instead, it's shut down immediately. You may hear things like, don't question authority. You need to trust the leadership. Doubt is a sign of weakness. And just like that, any form of accountability is removed. But this creates a dangerous imbalance. Because when a leader cannot be questioned, they also cannot be corrected. And when there is no correction, there is no protection for the people. It becomes a system where one voice controls everything, without transparency, without responsibility, without limits. And over time, this kind of unchecked authority can lead to serious harm. But true leadership looks very different. Real leaders don't fear questions. They don't silence concerns. They welcome honesty. They value truth. And most importantly, they understand that leadership is about serving others, not controlling them. So if you ever find yourself in a place where asking questions feels wrong, where speaking up feels dangerous, that's not a sign of strength. That's a warning sign. Triangular flag. If you recognize these signs, you can protect yourself from serious deception. Always remember, truth never relies on fear, pressure, or control. If this video helped you, make sure to like, thumbs up, and share it, so others can become aware too.